Alrighty, that was Warehouse 53 with Growing Up. Fantastic. Welcome to the Besides the Norm podcast. Craig, are you ready?
Oh, yes, I think.
Welcome. There you go.
Oh, I didn't care enough about that film.
What's that?
I stopped checking.
Oh, shite, aye. Craig was checking for a poll before that we done with Rachel a while ago. What the hell was that about?
It was I put up something about how Chris Peace is the best,
Yes.
and Rachel was wrong and said that someone else was the best. What was it you said?
I would like to point out that a square sausage roll is in fact the best.
Is that what your
I
choice
think that's
was?
what you put up the
I
last
think
time.
that's what the majority choice is.
I think that's
It's,
wrong.
time to admit something.
Oh,
During the day, me and Rachel had a bit of a tiff. I'd ordered the Ramsans that day. You worked at Ramsans.
correct.
Was it that
And,
day?
Was that day? Was that day? Sure it was.
I'm sure it was.
Jesus.
And what the hell was it about? So
Spicy onions.
Spicy onions. She remembers.
There you go.
She's got it written on her fucking post-it note.
Listen, you're on the barred list.
Ordered a calzone. Well, 2 calzones. Sorry. And we asked for it with no onions and Ramsans. I thought status, but a status nonetheless.
It was sarcastic.
A sarcastic status about people not doing their work at Ramsans. And Rachel unfortunately has me on Facebook and was the person taking the phone calls at the time. And aye, pretty much fucking destroyed me.
You did get ruined.
I did get ruined.
You got ruined on
Put
that.
up a, no, scared. I tore most of the onions out of it.
I did that.
I didn't like spicy onions for some reason. The sauce is fine, but onions are just like.
Get what's fucking minging. Now we're,
Whoa.
now we're getting
Now we're getting to the nitty-gritty of the conversation.
fucking pickled onions. Out of chippy.
Can't stand them either.
What the fuck is up with that?
What is wrong with you two?
We do like vegetables.
It's not.
Not
It's
even
not
spicy
that.
ones.
It's not even just that. It's the vinegar like penetrates the hell onion, and even you get like pickled eggs and shit as well, like pickled
Right,
food.
I agree on the pickled eggs.
Aye, pickled beetroot. You had that as well.
Was I've never seen unpickled beetroot.
It's a good point. Most of it does come pickled.
Did they sell unpickled?
Unpickled
pickled?
beetroot? That is a bit of a tongue twister. In all fairness,
Unpickled beetroot.
Did
They
they
do.
sell unpickled
they
beetroot?
do. Aye, they do. That's how they make the pickled
Yes.
beetroot. They get the
No, aye, no shit. But I'm saying,
so that works.
like, you can't just buy a beetroot.
Yes, you can.
Yes, you can.
You can grow them in your garden as
No,
well.
you can grow a lot of things in your garden.
It's
that
not
you're
as
not
if
gonna
you
eat.
grow them pickled.
Aye.
You're not just hosing your garden with vinegar.
Where are you buying a beetroot seed?
Seed shops.
Home base, B&Q,
Aye. It seems pretty
Lidl,
easy to get
special
them.
Right, it
buys.
does seem very.
Aye. It seems like you're being trumped here a wee bit. So in retaliation,
Can you grow grapes in Scotland?
yes, I think so.
Can we grow grapes?
No, it's not
Nah.
my speciality.
It seems like it's more a tropical thing, but again, you can do it in France. It's particularly quite sunny in France, I would say.
It's better in France than it is here.
Oh, definitely.
Maybe not the day.
Nobody is fucking disputing that fact whatsoever. That's a complete real thing.
Right.
Aye.
So that's the onion and grape and that talk done.
Aye. So in retaliation that day, you and Rachel started arguing.
Look, I posted up a fact.
Listen, it wasn't arguing. It was just me setting him
Being
straight.
wrong. I put up saying, the thing was, is there anything better in Scottish cuisine than a crisp piece or something?
Aye.
Which you had to define what it was. If it was that good, people would know.
What do you mean? How does somebody know what a crisp piece is?
Read the thread, man. It's all there in black.
I can't. I tried. It's too far away. I posted up too much shite.
So Craig posted up that, and then I think you started a poll eventually.
I did.
Was it you that started
Which
the poll?
Yes.
So in retaliation for being downed and taking the piss out during the day, I upvoted a lot. I think I put about 12 votes in
Whoop, whoop.
for
So I
Craig's,
won.
for Craig's crisp piece.
Oh, I see how it is.
Only retaliation.
Well, listen.
Yours.
Extra spicy onions for you.
That actually scares me now that I'm going to order a Ramzan at some point, and
I'm
then
never
Rachel will
eating for
just be there.
Ramzans again. Can you remember I'm never eating for Ramzans again? Because we asked for one free milkshake to advertise Ramzans.
We did.
And we never got one.
We never received it. Aye.
Here, listen, I'm the complaints department. I'll take it forward.
I think we did mention that one day. We were talking about like getting Ramzans to like sponsor us and stuff, and we're like, we'll just
I think
take
you
a
mentioned
milkshake.
it to Rachel was a joke.
I think so. Aye, maybe.
I'm no marketing. I'm
Aye.
complaints.
We'll see how it goes in the future. But we'll ask again. We'll keep asking. We'll keep
We'll
asking.
keep
See how it goes. But we've got Rachel on to discuss. I mean, there's nothing happening with theatre now, but we've got her on to discuss the COVID situation, how it's completely affected theatre for the foreseeable future. It doesn't seem like it's going to happen. Like we heard a while ago, like for DJing and stuff like that, we maybe get December. But that looks like it's not happening either.
I logged in Saturday in, so
Oh yeah, that's it. So how's everything now?
I mean, probably give context that I also work in theatre as opposed to just a takeaway. So, you know, there isn't much happening, like, on the forefront, really. It's all kind of happening behind the scenes. Like, there's loads of, you know, like, their marketing departments, their HR departments and stuff are working away really, really busy. And it's kind of a thing that's, like, damage control is how I would refer to it as we currently stand. You know, like, we've got massive theatre groups like ATG that are massively affected. You know, like, the Kings are thinking they're going to have to shut. When you kind of look at the Kings, that's kind of like a staple in so many people's lives, all the way down to kind of like, you know, Buckhaven Theatre and the Buyer and stuff. You just kind of go, right, how is this going to trickle down? Because it's the weird theatres that get forgotten about. You know, it's the community halls and it's the community groups. And so really on the forefront, it doesn't look like anything's happening, but there is loads of work trying to move towards getting us open, what socially distanced theatre looks like, what outdoor theatre looks like. You know, I think it's the first time in 140 years that Panto's ever been cancelled in Scotland. And you just think, man, we are part of something bigger. Like, I've never been through anything like it in my lifetime. And I work with people as old as 99 in the theatre, and they've never been through anything like it either. The theatre's always been there, and now the doors are shut and the lights are off.
Gone. That's it.
I mean, if Panto was in the summer, you might have had a shot at a drive-in theatre show. Because, I mean, like Daniel Sloss had a comedy show that was outside, and they just put up a big speaker and stuff like that.
Well, traditionally, Panto used to be during the summer, because it stemmed for the players group. Ready Joy at Christmas. That's the big deal. That's the big present. You know, like, I know that when I was growing up, I mean, my family's huge, but it was always like an annual trip, and it was part of your Christmas.
So I mind going to a few as well years ago. But I think our Uncle Brian done like piano and stuff for. I think it was an Edinburgh theatre based show. I can't mind. They had like Bobby Davro and like they kind of like old time comedians and stuff in it and stuff. But comedians, Jesus, pantomimes have been huge for. Absolutely fucking years. Talking about pantomimes, actually, we got invited in to film your pantomime.
Yep, with what kind
quite
of players?
Quite last minute as
It
well.
was, yes.
But quite successful, actually.
Massively successful.
We were because it was just a sort of small group that you started, really.
Well, I mean, we started Buckhind Players in the April, and we put on a panto in the December. 3 nights, 920 people in total saw it. Sold out every night. First panto in the community in 15 years.
Because I mean, getting down on was it the second night we filmed?
I reckon.
Yeah,
I'm sure it was the second night, because we've done the same for Expressions, because we were like, if we're letting them get the first night done, and then usually the second night they at least sort of rehearse what they're doing.
The first time we filmed Expressions, they didn't hear the costumes the first night.
Aye, that was a nightmare, But we did have to go back down.
We did have to go back anyway.
And they were also doing Aladdin. So they were doing Aladdin.
That was what I found weird.
They were doing Aladdin the dance show, and we were doing Aladdin the panto written by Scott Riggin, who's also from this area.
Right.
So we had the people turning up for our audience, like, I was seeing Aladdin last night. We were like,
did you book in advance? We
didn't know that it was Aladdin until like the same week.
We didn't obviously didn't get until we got done as well. But so we filmed like both those things sort of within like about a week each other. So trying to keep on track with the editing and stuff like that, and then calling it Aladdin, and then you're going back and forward.
Then even just putting them on the website was weird, because I had to find out a way to like distinguish the two of them. And it was hard to just find a picture of Aladdin without it just using the same picture.
Yeah.
So I think one was a picture of a poster or the cast or something for your one.
That was for the guys' one.
Then the other one was just a picture of Aladdin.
Well, Expressions didn't have a poster.
Yeah.
No.
No, we went to town. Like, we tried to make it as professional as possible. And I mean, it was all done by members of the community. Like, our whole cast and our whole community, which made up about 35 people in total, were all from Leavenmouth.
What was the funding like? Did you get the funding for it?
The funding was rough. Because we were a brand new group and we were starting in April, kind of at the end of the financial year, a lot of the trust funds and charity funds that we could have applied for were already closed. So a lot of it was kind of ground zero funding, like fundraising events. We had a showcase, which we charged like $5 a ticket, and it was a night at the movies, and it was kind of our first fundraising event, and I think only about 90 people turned up to that.
That's still decent.
That sounds like a lot.
It's decent, but we had 300 tickets on sale. So then 90 people, you were a bit like, oh. But then, I mean, months later, December, you've got 920 people. So
that was amazing, because
I'll be honest, I didn't expect that at all.
neither did we.
Knowing the size of the actual building and stuff like that, we knew it was going to be some size and stuff like that, but weren't expecting the sort of the scale of what you'd put together. Like the big mixing desk and the fucking lighting effects and everything like that. And the one thing that put us in a bit of jeopardy for filming was especially for like the audio side of things, was that you said a big smoke machine.
Yeah.
And there was massive fans in the roof.
Yeah.
That were obviously provided like for the centre, and it was like it totally bugged because we had the microphone set up and stuff like that, and trying to get audio for that was absolutely fucking horrific.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Really bad. But I mean, it sounded great on stage, but again, when you try to record that and you try to record the live thing, it was difficult.
Well, it was good though.
It was
for
good.
Us. That was really nicely done.
Like for me, because I was the director and kind of like the producer, it was important for me that it was just as high quality as what you would see in St Andrews, Dunfermline, Dundee. Like just because it's in Buckhaven, for me, I was like, doesn't matter. It's in just Buckhaven. I'm like, it's in a theatre. It's a show. Like, you know, and I kind of just had to pull some strings, beg, borrow, and steal from everybody I know in the industry. Like. And in terms of funding, like we applied to the Cora Foundation, and the Cora Foundation were amazing. I mean, they were like, right, what do you need? And we just kind of had to have conversations with them, invited them into the process, and we ended up getting a small amount, but we got some funding, you know. So we ended up putting it on. I think it was for under $2,000.
That's fucking.
And
good.
when you see the quality that we achieved, that was pure blood, sweat and tears manual labour from the community. Like we had scenic artists painting till 3 o'clock in the morning because that's when they could get into the centre, and then, you know, all the cast, they've all got jobs or kids or work or school or whatever, and then it was 6 till 9 at night, and then 9 till 12 or whatever. But I mean, we pulled it off and it was a huge achievement. But I think the reason it pulled as many people in as it did was because it was in Buckhaven. I mean, most of our audience probably had never seen a panel before.
No.
That's it.
And they were getting to see it for a $5.
And he's done quite good in advertising it as well. You got in the East 5 Mail and stuff like that as
East
well?
East 5 Mail, yeah. East 5 Mail twice. Huge Facebook campaign. Word of mouth. Putting posters up in the centre. Because I think us being a group that kind of is on the younger side, it's so tempting to just be like, I'll just share it on Facebook. But then if that's not your audience, it's like you kind of have to take it to the people.
That's a fair point.
Yeah.
I mean, the only panels I'd seen were ones that either I was in with the school or ones that I wasn't in with the school.
Yeah.
That was it. It was just
and it was
ones.
usually school trips or community group trips. And it's very rarely do people go to the theatre now. And when they do, it is typical that it's panel at Christmas. It's a very Scottish thing. And, you know, we were able to provide a family ticket, a family of 4, for £20.
That's fucking great, right?
So,
how much would a normal pantomime cost? If you're going through to Dunfermline,
celebrity guests and everything, you're expecting a wee bit more.
So Dunfermline, Alhambra, and Kirkcaldy, who do a panel every year, cheapest ticket you can buy for a single person is £22.
Right.
Just for a single ticket. But their production costs, so to put the whole thing on, light, sound, camera, action, everything, could easily be 20-30 grand.
Aye.
Like, and then you think about the ones at the Kings and the SSCC, and you've got like David Barrowman and like, you know, you've got the Crankies and John Barrowman, all of this in it. Do you know what I mean? You're talking 70 grand, easy.
Aye, fuck aye.
That suggests that they're not getting paid very much.
But so, like, that's just your production costs.
Oh, right.
And then you've got hiring costs. So easily to put on a panto in Glasgow, $1 million, $2 million. We put it on for under $2,000.
It's when, like, they've got people in them that are genuine household names, like Christopher Biggins, Stephen Fry. They're in. I reckon if Stephen Fry does panto, but he does theatre stuff.
Oh, that was a weird thing to bring up. I didn't know if Stephen Fry had done pantomimes and
Oh,
stuff.
He's done it previously.
He's done it,
right.
Yeah.
I reckon if he's been in a panto, but he's done theatre.
I kind of does theatre and stuff like that.
And then you get Keith Chegwin.
But you've even got Sir Ian McKellen. He started in panto.
Oh, aye.
Aye, fucking hell, yeah.
He started in panto in Edinburgh at the Lyceum.
Aye. Mad. Because you think of all these like old time actors and stuff like that, I bet like Patrick Stewart and everything's done
And then
that
you
kind of thing.
exactly, and then you wonder and you go, right, so if we did casting for it and we tried to bring in sort of like a bigger name, like Johnny Mack's a big name in panto, everybody sees him in Kirkcaldy, everybody sees him Dunfermline, so like if we then had to hire like actors in, you know, are we going to pull more people in the door, or actually to have them not even know who they are?
That's a good point. Aye.
Or is it more interesting to come visit, oh, that's my cousin on stage, or that's my auntie, or that's my mum? Like,
I think in local things, like at Buckhaven, I think you'd better with local people.
And if the talent's there, I mean, sweep it up. Do you know this? And, you know, like, going to a panto for some families is credible dame. Like the crowd was in the palm of his hand for the word go.
Aye.
It was good, like.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't think that you would get that level of quality in Buckhaven. That's just an assumption.
But that is the assumption, is that you walk through Buckhaven and you think, oh, but it's like, it's important to remember there's so many interesting people in the world. Like Rebecca, she's a trained vocalist, you know, she's got her own Facebook page, she's like amazing, she's classically trained, she's been away to uni to do this. But then she's up there with somebody who's never been on stage before, and her talent and her qualities pulled that other person up. So they've tried harder, and you just think, like, I mean, there was literally people in that cast whose first time on stage
Was that
panto.
Fuck.
And you're just, I mean, as a director, the whole time you're like, you're doing great, okay, let's go. And you just kind of have to hope that, I mean, it's a community. Everybody rallies round. Like, I cannot sing not a note.
Very much the same way.
On the other end of it, though, as much as you've got the talent in local areas, there's also the possibility that if you've got somebody who's not as good, people are going to be able to overlook it a bit more. You're going to get away with it even more. And it also gives somebody who might not be that good enough to get in a bigger show a chance to try.
Exactly.
That's what happens. That's what happens at like open mic nights at comedy clubs and stuff like that. You get the new guys coming on, and folk know that it's an open mic night. Know that's the sort of amateurs and stuff.
They're a
coming
bit more forgiving.
They're a bit more lenient, and sort of like you'll maybe get like a larger plaque for someone you wouldn't normally get in a traditional night.
And that's the thing as well. It's like, it's that same environment that if you're at, like, you know, if you're at a comedy club, or you're at, even if you're at an amateur football game, once you're in with that crowd and once you're in with that spirit, you'll go on any journey with that performer. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I've worked with people in the past, not even at the Players, just in general, that they've been terrified, and I could see that they're terrified, but the crowd's got no idea because they're laughing with them. Or in Ryan's case, laughing at him, but for all the best reasons.
I was really surprised by Ryan's sort of thing. I didn't know he was a counsellor either until I think it was afterwards.
And it's a bold move for a counsellor to go, yep, I'll put on the dress.
I think it's a old-fashionedly bold though. I feel like people in politics would go, folk aren't going to respond well to that.
Yeah,
but they're wrong. Folk respond very well to that.
Well, I mean,
it's pantomime. I mean, like, that's just what happens.
They didn't see councillors and politicians like MSPs and that as real people. And as soon as you put a dress on, you're just a real guy in a dress, mate.
And you just think as well, like, if that's the power that a local councillor has got in this area, which could be unforgiving, this area, like, imagine what we can achieve just by injecting that wee bit of art or that wee bit of performance into politics.
That's it. And I think Buckhaven Theatre's been trying that for a lot of years as well.
Yeah.
It's just, it's never gotten to the level you want it to be.
I think the shame, and it breaks my heart because I used to frequent Buckhaven Theatre all the time when I was younger, and it saddens me that it's not used more.
That's
and I think
it's a great wee venue.
People don't know it's there.
Is that the venue we were in?
That's I talked to Mark and stuff like that. Aye.
Right, is that the Buckhaven
That was
Theatre?
they've got a great setup, great sound setup, great kind of light setup.
It's
and
an
shit.
amazing
It
resource in the
proper
area.
nice,
Place. VIP sections at the side and stuff
Nice
like that.
VIP
Wee
sections,
boxes, yes.
Great wee venue.
Not very good for filming.
Aye,
Because it was like
But
you
does
were
it
a bit
have to
too-
be
it doesn't have to be. It's
if you're
it's
making
theatre.
live events?
Does
That's
if
it.
you want us to film.
All right, Mr. Technical.
That's a problem we find with a lot of things. A lot of things that like aren't designed for filming.
Well, I mean, it's an old-fashioned. There wasn't any video cameras.
Aye, basically.
It's no built for that.
No.
In fairness,
Aye.
but it's one of the difficulties of bringing new technology into old-fashioned things.
Exactly, and it's like, I
But
think,
it's your job to work out a way to. deal
well,
with
your
it.
job, but also who manages the venue. Like, if they're open to creative solutions or creative ideas, then there's no stopping you. Do you know? But I think the shame is that Buckhaven Theatre doesn't get enough love put into it.
Aye.
And God love him, Sandy Novac, who runs
Is
that
that the old guy
building.
who runs about all the time?
He is incredible. He is a real gem in the community, and he cannot do enough. When I started the stuff with the players, Sandy, what do you need? Do you need this? Do you need that? Drove home from his other job to bring me a cable that I did not know what it was for, but he knew I would need it,
All right.
and brought it to my house and was like, "That's for you, hen." And I was just like, "You are a gem." Like, and it's people like that who need then new ideas and new technology coming in to help it thrive. Because if no, then it sits there, doors shut, dusty, and it's no good.
That's it. Again, it's too much a nice wee venue to get fucking swept to the wayside as well. Again, that's a thing we kind of used now.
I said this. I think it was last week Andrew was in.
Aye.
That I made a confession that I used to think that theatre was a lot of shite. I thought it was just where rich people went, and I'm for scummy Kenaway, and I can't afford all this stuff. And you hear ticket prices being 100 or 200 quid or whatever. And I'm like, I can't swing that. I'm no paying 200 quid to see a play. But I went down to the partner of mine, just expecting to film. I didn't expect to sit and enjoy it or anything. I just expected, no offence.
Oh, thanks.
No offence. I expected
No, but I hear you.
to just go down and just film it and get it done with and get out as quickly as possible. But I sat down, and as I was filming it, I started laughing. And I started getting into the songs, and I was jiggling about and
Great.
all this shit.
Oh, no, you didn't.
I started shouting. It was all brilliant. Great.
Yeah,
I'm a
I
big
know.
fan now, so I'm definitely going to a theatre again at some point.
The thing is, as well, is like once you see the right theatre or a theatre that you feel that you belong in or welcomed in, then that totally changes. Like, my brothers are not theatre people at all. Like, they are very much sports. Like, would rather go to 100 football games and watch their team lose before they'd come and watch a show in the theatre. But the deal was always, I'll come to your football if you come to my shows.
That's cool.
So they turned up for the panel, and they were very much like, Rachel, this better be good. And I was like, I think it's amazing. I was like, so we'll see. And after it, they could not believe, because like I said, we used to go to the Kings when we were younger, and you think Andy Stewart, Andy Gray, and Grant Stott, and you're like, oh my god. And then, you know, they're incredible, and they're like real masters of their craft. And my brothers were like, we laughed just as much with Ryan and Rebecca and everybody as what we did when we used to go to the Kings. And you just think, right, well, the 5 years have just come for 20 quid. The Kings, it would have cost us 150 quid.
Aye.
That's it.
Brilliant.
Amazing. Right, I think we'll get into a wee tune. We'll come back on. Okay?
Cool.
Quality. This is the Novacs with R.I.C. That one.
There's something to my face, and you've been out working till God knows the time. They basically own us. He's only drinking, crossing my lines. I'll find a new lover, and I can choose a whiskey break or two, and I'll try and resist her. And now she's automatically falling in love, and I can't dismiss her, so I go. Coming down, I will get under you if it's the last thing I ever do. She has enough to tell me I'm coming round. I'll get over you if it's the last thing I ever do. But honey, I love you.
That was the Novacs with R.I.C. Craig Hayes. That's because it's pure radio voice, so I have to do that bit. Amazing times, amazing times. So we're just talking there about like musical theatre and stuff like that just before we came back on, and it's been, we're talking about the prices and stuff.
Aye, and why it sort of appeals more to higher income earners than it does to people that stay in like the schemes and that.
Aye. And you're talking about obviously it's becoming like, you're talking about like yourself, obviously like
Yep.
you're come from a working class background, and you're having to treat this thing like it's a passion for you,
Yeah.
and you're also having to make it like a treat every now and again, sort of thing.
That's the thing. It's like theatre in general does respond to kind of more high income households because they don't have to then prioritise how they're going to pay their next bill, how they're going to put food on the table, as much as somebody in a low income family does, or somebody with a lot of family. Like when you take somebody to the theatre, it's not as if you can just take one of your kids and leave the other three at home. Or
That's it.
everything's a cost, and then you think about travel there. You think about the fact that you get there, they're going to want the sweeties, they're going to want them flying colourful magic wands. Like it's the whole shebang. It's like the whole accessibility.
Like because you.
You literally can't do that online, can you?
No, 'cause, like if you're doing stand up, you can
very
just at least go
difficult.
and do like a monologue of some
Yeah.
sort. If you're doing stand up, I didn't really like it. It's weird,
No.
but again, it's 10 times more difficult for you because you used to working with people and
It
fucking.
relies on
like,
engagement.
because monologues are really hard to watch as well. So
And that's the thing, like, I mean, praise all the teachers that have done Google Classrooms and Zoom and stuff like that, how they've had 30 kids amused or at least engaged for a week. My hat is off, because trying to do a drama lesson online, it's like, is your mic working? Can you unmute
Fuck that.
yourself?
Oh, have you done them?
I've tried.
oh my god,
Can you now mute yourself? Can you put your camera back on?
can you kill your dog?
Like, can you stand back a bit?
you kill your dog?
Like, I can't see you pretending to be that star. Like, can you move back a bit? Can you be an astro? Like, it just does not work the same.
I think it's going to. I
It's not the
think
same.
you're going to see a drop in grades and stuff like that.
Like,
'Cause
that's
the
it.
folk aren't just aren't going to be as invested.
This is the thing, and it's such like a personable thing. It's like, I mean, I know it's like the football or the rugby or whatever it is you're into. It's about being with your community, and suddenly you're no in the room, so you're no hearing people laughing. You're no quite getting the right tone of voice, and you can't be as physical. Like theatre is such a physical thing, and it's like, again, that's probably why it attracts kind of more upper class people traditionally, is because it's still and it's quiet, and you sit there and you enjoy it, you take it in. But when you're an actor or a performer or even a director or even technical crew, they never stop. Do you know what I mean? So it's such a part of their physical makeup that then when you get that first buzz, even if you're from a lower working class family, you go, I'm addicted to this. This makes me feel alive, quite literally feel alive. And I think like that's what it was for me. Like I just knew I needed it. I knew I needed it in my life. But the money side of things, it then has to become a treat. Tickets for your Christmas, tickets for your birthday. Like, And this is what lockdown's proved. It's proved that actually the arts aren't a treat, they're a necessity. Like, you need them in your life. The first thing everybody done was turn on the telly or listen to music or read a book. It's all art. It's all there.
The amazing thing is watching people with like any sort of ounce of creativity in them, but they've been stuck in their like job for a long time. There was a lassie weekend, I'll not mention her name, but she was stuck. And she was doing like, she was making vape liquid or something like that. So she wasn't like part of the food industry or anything like that. So they were like kept off work for a while.
Yeah.
So she just was doing artwork. And she got really into it and started like selling it and stuff like that. I was like, that's like, gave her like a new lease of life because she loves doing art. She hated her job.
One of the biggest things that fuels creativity is boredom.
Oh, fuck,
like,
careful.
And I mean, any artist or anybody who's creative will tell you, like, some days you just never want to go near the sketch pad, or you never want to pick up the mic, or you never want to pick up the pen, and it feels like such an effort. But once you've got past that 5 minutes and you're past the boredom, you're in that zone. And it's like, you're no coming out of that zone for hell nor leather. Like, it's like, if you're reading a play, it's like, I'm not stopping till I've finished. And that's the thing, is like, people who have got that wee ounce of creativity in them, or who go, do you know what, I'm going to try that because I've got all this time in the house now. It's like they've unlocked something. I'm just imagining right now, like, how many, like, wee plays or films have been written. Because that's been, what, 4 or 5 months or something like that, been in lockdown. America was a wee bit longer than us on lockdown and stuff. Imagine how many like new shows are on the way. I really do
because of this
believe
fucking period of time.
However, what also got more popular? OnlyFans are cunts.
That certainly did I.
So there's two sides.
But you could argue that
That's
that's
Creativity as well.
a
I guess.
creative
as well,
practice as well.
There you go.
But there's always that aspect, isn't there?
There was also like we did like a hip hop show as well, and talking to guys that have just like.
Well, hip hop had two things, because hip hop's like a black dominated culture. So you've got black music, you've got lockdown, so they're all stuck in the house, and then you've got Black Lives Matter.
Listen,
So that the hip hop that we got was abundant for
that
weeks.
That first 2 weeks of the since the George Floyd killing, incredible. Like pretty much we had like maybe 40 different like Black Lives Matter based tunes, and they were all fucking amazing.
But the resurgence that's going to come out of that, like, and it's because people are angry and they're hurt and they're upset, and that's one of the biggest motivators, especially when you're creative. Like, you've just, I mean, you've opened the gate and the horse is bolting. Like, there's no going back, and it actually is comforting to hear how angry people are and to hear how upset they are, because you're like, we're angry for the right reasons.
Well, I mean, even till now, like, when was the George Floyd kill? That was 3 months ago, 4 months ago, 3 months.
Must be about that.
And I mean, now you're looking at where the EPs and albums coming out, because that was songs. That was one song, two songs maybe. Now you're talking 10, 14 track albums.
Yep.
That's when you're going to get really political, deep political, theoretical stuff. Oh, the next few months are going to be good. I don't want to make it sound like it was a good thing, but like...
What's good about it, the silver lining, is that it's not been in vain.
Do that quite a lot as well.
Like, I mean, obviously horrendous what is happening within the Black Lives Matter stuff, and I mean, as a white person, my privilege is through the roof, so it's like, it's making me then go, right, okay, what can I do as an artist to then support this? Because it's going to change the industry. It's going to change the whole industry.
It's already started. Diversity done that thing on Britain's Got Talent. And you see that no everybody's as
open,
as into Black Lives Matter as others. Jim Davison has been back on the scene.
What did you say? You want to try and find that up here?
So, but I wonder if it's because they fear that they can't talk about it.
Well,
like,
I saw a guy the day with a pride thing at his... Can you get the filters?
Yeah.
So he had a pride thing. He had obviously been talking about Stonewall. And he was then talking about these violent thugs in the Black Lives Matter movement. It's almost like he doesn't care what Stonewall was.
No.
That was started
and
by
also
a very violent black trans person.
Like, this is it. It's like, people need to do their homework is the issue, and people don't. And I think then when they do speak, they speak with ignorance. And it's actually like, if we just took the time to educate ourselves, because it's our responsibility to educate ourselves, and then go, right, how do I make an informed opinion on this? That you're on the right side.
That'd
of
be
things.
nice, if folk could just make an informed opinion about stuff.
We've got a wee clip here if you want to watch Jim Davison. We can talk
Do
about
you want to
as
hear
well.
it?
Yeah, go for it.
Go for it. Can't believe we're playing Jim Davison. But,
This is
for a
ridiculous.
different thing.
This is insane.
Let me see here. Wrong button, Scoops.
Stupid fucking minds that this
Right, put it back at the beginning.
will
Because it was way
decrease
too low there.
Fucking hell. It's a tiny window I've got here.
It is unbelievable. What do you want? But you
There you
really,
go.
really believe in your young, never get on the chase, stupid fucking minds that this will decrease racial hatred. I think it's just going
Racial
to
hatred.
fucking sort it out. I mean, it is unbelievable. What do you want? What more can people do before you say, okay, that's enough now? You don't see white couples on adverts anymore, do you? Most TV
What?
presenters are non-white. The Golden Girls, you know the film The Golden Girls with all them old birds? That's being made by black people. Tom and Jerry's mum will probably be reinstated. And there's loads
He's
of
a
white
fucking
people
goon.
sticking up for you, sticking up for black lives. Well, young white
Yeah.
girls walking round with banners. Defund the police, support black people. Well, I say most young girls. Gemma's sister is not holding up a banner as she was violently mugged by 3 black men. Yeah, well, there you go.
God, he's awful.
Perhaps
that's me
can
sold.
do a mugging
What
thing.
a fucking mutant.
He is an absolute mutant, man.
Oh, God, that's the
Fucking
his
hell.
comedians right there.
It's just pure ignorance, and it's like actually so ill-informed.
Aye.
Well, did you kid that they didn't have white couples on
I mean,
TV anymore?
Aye.
I mean, I'm not going to
All the
lie
white
to you.
couples.
I have watched a lot of TV recently, and it's not something that I've picked up on.
I've seen
Most of
family.
the TV presenters are black now, he says.
Aye, family fortunes. It's all black families now.
Honestly,
Fucking, he's an idiot, man.
I think it's dangerous though when you've got people who do, like, people know who he is, and people do look to him and go, "Ah, he's important. He's a celebrity. He must
He
have
must
something
be talking about
good
it."
to say." And it's like, no, not necessarily.
But it's the fact that people are saying, this guy kens what he's talking about.
Yeah.
That's what worries me, because he quite clearly doesn't.
Because actually,
even Piers
who-
Morgan fucking stuck up for diversity for that thing.
Well,
Piers Morgan, of all people.
I mean, I've agreed with Piers Morgan about 3 times in my life.
That's
it's
scary,
not
innit? It's
often
scary
that
when it
happens.
happens.
No.
It's happening way too often now. How do you like it? Piers Morgan saying stuff that's off worth.
That's reasonable.
It's like, oh god, horrible. You didn't want that to become part of your life. That's all.
That made my day today.
But this is the thing as well.
Indeed.
When you take a show like Britain's Got Talent, right? It's a family-friendly show. It's one of those ones that you can sit in your house and enjoy it for pretty much next to nothing. Do you know? It's got the cost and everything's removed. And it is a good laugh. Like, whether you're laughing at it for the good reasons or you're laughing at it because it is terrible. Like, you're having a great time. And then people then feel discouraged or kind of like odd by the fact that then there is a political statement. But we're living in a world where we should be making political statements.
That's it,
but
that's
if you're not used to that on your couch on a Saturday night or whenever it's on, it does turn people. And it's like, I mean, I think we absolutely should be doing it. But I think to have then the audacity or kind of like, I don't know, like the backbone to go, I'm going to write in
No.
Okay.
and complain about this.
But it's like,
Change the channel.
it was...
That's what I always say.
The political statement was, didn't kill black guys.
And it's also like, if that's what you cannot agree with, then maybe go, why do I feel like this?
Like, if he went on and said, kill the capitalists, I'd have been like, okay, he probably shouldn't have said that on TV. But what he said is, a black man was killed by police officers, and this is happening way too often. We need to work out how to lessen that or stop that or whatever. And people are like, nah, not hearing that. Like,
How dare you interrupt my
Aye.
Saturday night telly?
what?
Yeah.
I feel like that's not even really a political statement. That's maybe a, let's just be sound.
I think as
statement.
well, like, it's also like the people who are watching Britain's Got Talent on a Saturday night aren't they the kind of people that are then going to go, do you know what? I'm going to go and I'm going to start a protest or I'm going to start this, right? But there might be somebody that goes,
There's always going to be a few
I
there.
needed that. I needed to see that, and actually I'm going to change this, or I'm going to get involved in this, or I'm going to donate to this cause.
Young people.
And like, it might be enough to wake people up, do you know? And we should be taking opportunities like that. Everybody preaches celebrities must use their platform. We hold them accountable as people who watch and buy into their lives. And as soon as they do use their platform, no, didn't mean it like that. Like, well, what else can you mean? That's the thing, and it's like...
Oh no, that was just me being...
I fucking hate when people do that, honestly.
He basically said it wasn't true, that he's a spiritual guy and he's religious and all that stuff.
Again, it's
just stick with it. We can't. You didn't come out as an atheist and then suddenly become a Christian again.
But
could you imagine though, being at that level, like a celebrity, when you have to you feel like you have to hold your tongue all the time, just in case people start moaning at you.
Aye.
But then, in saying that as well, if you look at the kind of the paradox there, it's like, why can he then no change? Like, if we're expecting people to educate themselves and relearn and kind of go back into themselves and go, right, wait a minute, there was my politics, there. We kind of have to then allow people to go, well, actually.
If he had said that he had rethought his beliefs and he now wasn't an atheist,
right?
But it was the fact that he said he was playing what was it? Like it was a phase thing. He was playing
right.
Not a role, but he was
a phase.
Just being anti. He was being contrarian.
Right.
That was the kind of aspect he was going for. That he was just
right.
playing a contrarian role.
I see.
That was the problem. Is that they backpedal a lot, and it kind of makes the statements useless. It makes them
have no weight. Yeah.
It's just the idea, like obviously some celebrities just want a fucking easy life. It was like I think it was Taylor Swift or something like that. I watched her documentary about her politicising herself and stuff like that, and it took her a while. She was like, for years she just never said anything, and I think she eventually came out with, I think it was some sort of bill in a certain state, and it was for the gay thing. It was, mind that song, the gay thing, the tune. I can't remember what you can call the tune.
The gay thing.
But it was for that. It was something like that. I can't remember the name of the bill. That was the name of pussy.
Right,
aye.
Was it for gay marriage or gay adoption or something?
I think it was something for gay marriage or something.
Because Miley Cyrus got a ton of shit. She's been hated for years just because she was, and like she wasn't even doing like a weird thing. It was a homeless charity for gay teens who had been disowned by their family and that. It's like that's a teenager who's now been disowned. Giving them a house, does he seem like a radical fucking...
No, if you're providing basic needs should not be seen as a radical act.
Aye,
like
that's it.
It's that whole thing, you know, when people film themselves giving to the homeless, and I'm like, who are you doing that for? Because they're not going to see it on Facebook.
On the other side of it, though, maybe filming it encourages somebody else to do it. That was my take. Is that maybe if you're advertising giving it to the homeless,
I don't know. I think it's poverty porn.
No, it is.
What's worse.
But I also didn't care if it's poverty porn if it pushes more folk to do it. Because if more folk are given, I didn't really care why they're given at that point, as long as they're given.
That's true.
That's my stance on it.
That's true.
I would rather they didn't. But if it is going to push more folk to do it, then I'm not going to. I'm not going to tell them not to do it.
So are you alright with the like YouTubers and stuff that put like don't want to put money in a bag or something like that?
No, because other folk aren't doing that.
Aye, because that is fucking... I hate that shit. They'll set a trap for the guy to maybe either go and spend the money on drink or something like that. Aye. I hate all that fucking horrible...
Oh, that stuff's bullshit.
Because I'm like, alright, cool.
But if he did buy drugs, who cares?
Well, that's that. I'm like, you've left 20 quid in a bag. You've then essentially gave it to them. It's their choice what they spend it on.
You ken how much drugs I would be buying if I was homeless?
Definitely.
Like,
all of them.
20 quid.
All the drugs.
Do you know what I mean?
You're going to get much for 20 quid.
You're going to get much drugs for 20 quid. But I would buy as much as I could get for 20 quid.
But it's also, I think, as well, like, this whole idea of, like, oh, you know, I'm going to film myself doing this random act of kindness or this, like, social experiment. You kind of then have to go, right, so what's the other social experiment? What's next? If you're filming yourself giving to the homeless, and it is encouraging other people to do it, great. But then, who are you going to film yourself doing something nice for next? Like,
that's it.
Like, how much views are important?
Enough to get them that paycheck. That's all they care about.
There's a lot of that as well.
They see in situations like that, they just see that as an investment into the product. The product is their video, and the investment is the money they're getting to homeless people, and it just the title pays for itself. and it's minging.
That is absolutely
Gives me the
disgusting.
creeps, man.
Defo. So, we're kind of reaching the end of the podcast.
One question.
Oh.
So, what exactly is the role of a director when you're making a play?
When you're creating a play, the role of the director is responsibility for the cast. How it looks on stage, how it sounds on stage, how it moves on stage. So basically taking charge of the script from beginning.
Was that your job's done one on night? Or are you still working on the night?
You're still working up until the strike happens at the end of the production. Because you might... So we had the 3-night run at Buckingham Players. Wednesday night, Thursday night, Widow Twanky's son was played by the same girl. And then on the Friday night, it was played by a different girl. So whatever happened on the Thursday night, if anything went wrong, I then had to tell the other actor, like, this is what happened, blah, 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 we need to re-rehearse this or re-rehearse this scene. So your job never finishes until that strike happens. In the community theatre especially, that role gets blurred because you end up striking the set or painting the set or, like, doing whatever you need to do. But in a kind of more upper class theatre, if you get hired as a director, it is
You're
very
just
much
solid in that.
your job is up until the last performance.
Right.
Because if you're doing a musical and one of your cast come off because they've landed a jump wrong, they've broke their ankle, your job is to then put somebody else on, and they need to know exactly where they are, exactly where they're going, how you want them to perform.
So, but that's a question then. So if that happened, did you have actors ready?
At Buckingham Players, we had no understudies, so it was me or my good old wee mum.
Right.
We actually had an incident where one of the cast had injured themselves.
But I mean, it's not as if you didn't get out to act. Was that a singing part?
Yes.
Oh, sorry, that might have been the issue.
I mean, I would have synced for my life. But
Easy enough to get Ryan to record beforehand, sort of thing, and then you just jump in.
I think it was actually Ryan.
don't know if I would have hit Ryan's notes, to be fair.
There's great stuff, great stuff. So, you said you had someone planned for December.
So, unfortunately, we're not going to be able to have a panto this year. We are working to break up what could be a really dark timeline. Do you know what I mean? It's just a gift. So, we are working away, and we are getting Christmas themed, and we're going to have sparkles and glitter and tinsel, and my house is going to look like elves have had a party, threw up, socially distanced, of course. And then we'll see, we're just going to produce it. Just going to see what happens.
Nice.
Awesome.
So there's no name or anything?
Not yet.
They've no fully figured out what they're doing yet. They're just sort of running through things. And
I've got a name in mind, but it's been vetoed twice already.
If it's already been cancelled, you could tell us that.
So,
what was the shit names you had before?
You're the director, so you get
the Sparkle series.
I can see why it was viewed.
Thanks. I'll leave that up to whoever does their marketing. They'll have much better ideas than I do.
Fair enough. Well, thank you for coming on, Rachel. Much appreciated.
Thank you for having me.
We're always welcome to come back up at any point. Always, anytime. We're going to end with this is Billy Liar with The Righteous Underbrats. Quality tune.
Making on what side of the fence you're standing on. When the war began, there were no